we have a podcast.
Diving deep into all things Texans, both on and off the field. Here's Sean Pendergast and Pro Football Hall of Famer, the General, John McClain. Welcome to Houtopia.
So let's shift some gears. We'll get to the mailbag in a second, but we do this every Tuesday, this week / Wednesday episode. General news and notes that John McClain brings to the table here on the Texans, and some numbers I'm sure that you got in front of you there, General, to dig into. Let's dig into the general news and notes right now.
Most of them are going to be NFL, but I'm going to start with the Texans, and I'm going to end with the Texans, both on C.J. Stroud. If you think about this, Sean, every quarterback who's ever played in the NFL was rookie. But there's only one quarterback in NFL history that has played his first 5 games without throwing an interception, and that is C.J. Stroud. And he's getting well-deserved recognition around the country. Anthony Richardson now is on injured reserve. Report this morning he might miss 8 weeks, not just 4. Bryce Young threw 3 touchdown passes, but he had 2 more interceptions. He struggled big time. Now, here's some very interesting things going on. Right now, 49ers and the Eagles are unbeaten.
Well, hang on. Let me react to the Stroud. Are you moving on? Yeah, let me react to the Stroud thing here because you put some good stuff out there on that. I'm curious. Are you one of the folks that would like C.J. Stroud to just go ahead and get this interception out of his system right now? Do you feel like this streak is something that's that I don't say weighing on him? I don't think anything weighs on C.J. Stroud, but you're using anything where you'd think it might affect just how aggressive he might be, that he's cognizant of the streak, because it gets brought up to him all the time now.
He's obviously thinking about it. He threw one right to Jesse Bates in his hands, and he acknowledged that after the game, and Bates dropped it. I can't remember another DB dropping one of his passes thrown right to him, which is one of the many things that's so impressive about him. But I think it'd be pretty cool if he went 17 games without an interception. If he's going to throw one, throw it in a blowout.
I do too. Or, John, if you're going to throw one, have it be one of those things where at halftime you have the ball at like your own 40 on the last play and you're just launching it down the field and someone like fair catches it almost. You know what I mean? So it's not like a real interception, but it's enough to where people aren't talking about the streak with him anymore. I would say that would be an acceptable way to do it.
I saw a stat this week that the Texans are second most drop passes in the league. I
saw that too.
Remember all those drop passes, but there have been no ricochets off receivers into the hands of safety. And that's another thing. Usually quarterbacks throw a few of those and it's not their fault, but they haven't had one of those. Okay, let's move on to the unbeaten 49ers and Eagles. And one of the main reasons they're unbeaten, opponents have not scored 1 point off a turnover. They're the only team in the league can say that. In each of the last 3 years, the team that had the best record or went to a championship game or both had the fewest number of points allowed off turnovers. So that seems to be a measuring stick. If you're going to give up one, don't give up points. And the Texans only have 2, both fumbles. They're +5. It's amazing. They're +5, and yet they're only 2 and 3. If they keep that up, they're not going to be allowed many points off turnovers.
Well, John, it's a great point about the Niners that, they've given up. It was the Niners you're talking about, right? They've given up
Niners and Eagles. Neither has given up a point.
Off of turnovers, yeah. Well, that to me, that's the difference in the game on Sunday against Atlanta. It's the Texans were +2 in turnovers, but they scored 1 field. They scored 3 points off those 2 turnovers. They scored, and then there were the other 2. So those 2 drives were in the third quarter. Then there were the 2 drives in the second quarter where Atlanta committed silly penalties to knock themselves out of field goal range and punt the ball back to the Texans. Not a turnover, but something that for the Falcons kind of kept points off the board. And the Texans only turned those 2 opportunities into a field goal at the end of the half. So you had the 4 negative possessions right in a row, end of the second, beginning of the third, and the Texans only turned it into 6 points. It's a great point. It's another way of illustrating what you're talking about. Yeah, the great teams give up very few points off of turnovers. The teams that are either mediocre or sit there and have to explain, hey, it's a play here and a play there, those teams, those are the ones that don't capitalize on those opportunities. And the Texans did not capitalize on those opportunities on Sunday.
49ers and Eagles defenses have not allowed one stinking point after turnovers, but the
That's
49ers
crazy.
are like the Texans. They've only committed 2. And road teams so far are 41-37. That's a 526 percentage. And that's the most after 5 games since 2019 when they were 43-34-1. They were 558 percentage. So home field advantage, kind of like in baseball with the Astros, it doesn't mean much.
Yeah. That's funny, John. That's the best percentage. That's the best percentage that the road teams have had since 2019, which makes me think like of all the years where the road teams would have actually probably flourished would have been 2020 because there were no crowds during COVID. You know what I mean? Like that would be the year where I think that it would flip to the road teams just because there's no home field advantage. But so 40, what'd you say there are 41-37, you said?
41-37.
Okay.
526 winning percentage.
And the Texans have done it all so far this season. They've won at home. They've lost at home. They've won on the road. They've lost on the road twice, actually lost on the road. So, so they've filled the whole ledger so far this year. The Texans have.
The Aggie who used to be Devin Achane, who's now Devon Achane, who's off to an incredible start, but now is on injured reserve. He has 7 touchdowns from scrimmage. The other running back, Raheem Mostert, has 8. They are the first team to have 2 players with at least 7 touchdowns from scrimmage through 5 games since the 1966 Cowboys did it, and their players who did it, Bullet Bob Hayes and Dan Reeves, and the 1962 Dallas Texans, who became the Chiefs. They did it with Chris Burford and Abner Haynes. And so that Dolphins offense is special. Poor old Etienne now, he's going to be out at least 4 weeks, and that's too bad because he has been fantastic.
Yeah, he's been good. I think the impressive thing about Mostert and Achane being the two guys to do that for however long you just laid out right there is the types of touchdowns they're scoring. First of all, they're rushing touchdowns, not passing touchdowns. A lot of them. I know some of them are passing touchdowns, probably a few of them, but these are 2 running backs. So these are largely running plays that we're talking about here to score touchdowns in a league that's become a passing league and on a team that is a passing team. You know, Tua is an MVP candidate right now. That's incredible to me. And the other thing that's incredible is how many of them are explosive touchdowns, especially with Achane. You know, he is electric every time he gets his hands on the ball. And I feel bad for him that with this knee injury. And I feel bad for the Achane fantasy owners, except the ones that I'm going against this weekend. I don't feel bad for them at all. But he was a fantasy revelation. He's been a fantasy darling, John, of people climbing over themselves to pick up. What is it now? Devon Achane? It's not Devin Achane anymore?
It's Devon Achane.
Would you advise that he change it to Achane because it's a little cooler than Achane?
Change it back to Achane like it was in A&M?
Well, I think the sense I get is we've been mispronouncing it all these years by saying Achane, and he just never corrected anybody.
Could have been, but he's an Aggie, so it'd be easy to understand.
Okay. But I think Achane is better. This is like, I'm sure you know this, John, because you're an historian. But back in the day, it was when he was at Notre Dame, his name was Joe Theismann, not Joe Theismann. But Roger Baldessari, the SID at Notre Dame back in the early 70s, said, no, let's change the pronunciation to Theismann because it rhymes with Heisman, and that'll help your candidacy. Ultimately, it was unsuccessful. But I like how Joe Theismann has just leaned into it all these years and just said, okay, Roger, I'm just going to pronounce it this way for the rest of my life.
I remember when the Cowboys drafted Tony Dorsett.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Brock Purdy is 10-0 as a starter. He's trying to eclipse the record of Big Ben in 2004. Big Ben replaced touchdown Tommy Maddox, who was hurt, and ended up over that season and the next season winning his first 15 in starts. So he's 15-0. He's got 5 more to catch him and 6 to pass him. And considering how good the 49ers are, he just may do it.
Purdy is the favorite to win the MVP of the league right now. If you had an MVP vote, John, who would your MVP be 5 weeks into the season?
Yeah, Brock Purdy, without a doubt. He's been fantastic. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but there's still people out there, John, that just feel like, yeah, he's got such a great team around him, and he's a 7th-round pick. I'm beyond the 7th-round pick thing. He's obviously a very good quarterback at this point.
Most great teams have great players around the quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that's a little general news and notes for the people. And I love these, John. Those are good stats.
One more.
You got one more? Okay, bonus. Let's go.
Actually, I had several more, but we're hitting our 10-minute limit. Okay, I'm going to tell you a list of quarterbacks, and you tell me who does not belong.
Okay, I like this. Okay, go.
Of quarterbacks who've thrown for at least 1,400 yards and no interceptions in their first 5 games. Here's my list.
Okay.
One doesn't belong.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes,
Yep.
Peyton Manning,
Yep.
Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, CJ Stroud.
I'm going to say Russell Wilson because he's the only one on that list that is a cornball, that is completely corny and hard to be around. I would hang out with the other 4 guys on that list. Even Mahomes, who can be a little corny himself, but he seems a lot of fun. But I know where you're going with this, John, because I know you're a nicer person than me, so you're not assessing the corniness of these people. I'm going to say it's CJ Stroud because he's doing it as a rookie right now.
Nope.
What?
I would love to hang out with Mahomes and get some free insurance so I don't have to keep paying that every month.
No kidding.
Peyton Manning never did it.
Who's missing? Okay, I misinterpreted
Peyton Manning should not be on that list I just gave because he never threw for 1,400 yards without an interception in his first 5 games of any season. CJ Stroud, another of the many examples of why he's been great.
I thought you meant like one of these things is not like the other sort of thing. I didn't know that someone was literally a wrong answer to that trivia question. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So Peyton Manning. So Stroud is doing things that Peyton Manning wasn't doing. Well, Peyton Manning's that's any season, right? Not just obviously, any season. Yeah. Because Brady's on there. That's right. Okay. That was a good one, John. John, good general news and notes. Nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.